What if you could transform your clinical results by starting with the one point that determines how every other point functions? That's the power of the laterality point, a neurological reset switch that restores brain coherence and reboots healing from the top down. In this training, I'll show you how to identify and treat laterality with precision. Understand why it's the first point you check in obesity care, and use it to ground, focus, and emotionally stabilize your patient. I'm Dr. Jeremy, and my goal is to help acupuncturists like you deliver extraordinary results with cutting-edge techniques. Now, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and don't forget to grab your free guide loaded with everything you need to implement this in your clinic today. Let's get started. Hey there, it's Dr. Jeremy, and welcome to part 1 of our 10-part series on treating obesity using terrain-based auricular acupuncture. Now, the series is all about shifting away from calorie counting, surface level treatments, and moving into terrain-based system that gets real clinical results. So what I'm going to do over the next 10 parts is I'm going to go through and show you each point in order, and then on that final 10th part, I'm going to tell you how to put it all together for our electro acupuncture treatment of obesity. Now, we're starting with the most foundational point in the protocol, the laterality point. This is the first point I check and treat in every case, especially in obesity, addiction, and emotional dysregulation. Why? Because if this point is off, the rest of the system is scrambled. You're trying to run software on a broken operating system. So this particular point is treated on the dominant side. So if they're right-handed, you treat it on the right side, and if they're left-handed, you treat it on the left side. Now, 90% of the patients are right-handed, so that's why I'm showing you the right ear here. Now, this is the tragus, and it's actually off the ear in front of the tragus. So you would take your point finder and look in this area here, and if you find it, then you would treat it. Now, the laterality point sits on the dominant ear, and it regulates left-right brain hemisphere integration. When this point is weak or shut down, which it usually is in obesity and addiction, the two halves of the brain aren't really communicating correctly. This shows up in all sorts of clinical patterns, such as emotional volatility, disorganized thinking, difficulty following through, compulsive behaviors, cravings, even clumsiness, and body disconnection. So not only for obesity, but each one of these points that I show you can be used for other purposes. And here's the kicker. Most patients unconsciously seek to reset laterality through food, nicotine, alcohol, or drugs. It's why you'll see the point temporarily disappear on a point finder immediately after eating or smoking. That's not random, that's terrain intelligence at work. Now, why must this laterality point be treated first? Well, if laterality is deficient, the brain is in a disorganized state. You can try to treat appetite, hormones, inflammation, but the nervous system isn't listening. Treating laterality is like plugging in the power strip. It turns the whole system on. And when this point comes back online, patients often feel grounded, focused, less emotionally reactive, calmer, and less likely to self-soothe without food. It creates the neurological foundation for the rest of the protocol to actually work. Now, how do you actually find laterality? Well, here's how I do it. First, I identify the patient's ear, dominant ear, right for right-handed, left for left-handed. Then I use a point finder like a Pointo Select. It's my favorite because it's bipolar, it's very accurate. It's set in gold only mode because I'm looking for deficiencies only, and I look to confirm the deficiency in this laterality point. I look for a low voltage reading or resistance. So I look on that point finder to see if this point shows up less than 8 on that point finder, because the point finder goes from 0 to 16, and the lower the number, the more deficient the acupoint is. Now, I'm going to be going over, especially in the last part of this series, 3 different techniques to treat this. So basically, you can find the point, needle it with a stainless steel needle, and then apply electrostim to it for 20 minutes. That's method 1. Method 2 is you find the point, you apply 15 seconds of electrical stim using the Point-O probe, and then you make a little mark and leave a tiny gold ear seed. And then the third way is intradermal needles. We're going to get more into that, like I said, in part 10 of this series. So if you're doing a full ear protocol, check for this point first and treat this point first always. Recheck it regularly on follow-up appointments. It can drop out again during stress, after eating, or when the system is overwhelmed. Now, let me give you a quick clinical example. I had a patient who plateaued in her weight loss. She had done all the right things, clean diet, regular movement, full protocol of points, but nothing was really changing. We checked laterality. Sure enough, it was out. I treated it first. Everything shifted. Appetite stabilized, cravings dropped, and emotional clarity came back. Now, this isn't a magical point. It's just about correcting the brain's core operating system so the rest of your inputs can take effect. Now, I like to use a minimum thickness of 36 gauge needle. I like the plastic handles for the ear because they're smaller, the less likely to be pulled out during the treatment. I use paper tape to apply the clip and the needle to the ear so that the patient can move around during the treatment. And I treat them for 20 minutes. And then you're like, well, what frequency do I use? Well, if you don't know what frequency you should use, you can use 9 or 10 hertz. That's the mesoderm. But what I'm going to be doing is showing you the Noget treatment frequency zones. Now you can see this laterality point is not actually in a Noget zone. It's not actually an auricular point, although we are calling it an auricular point. I like to use 9.12 or this mesoderm frequency for this point here. So if you take nothing else from this series, remember this: start with laterality. It's not complicated, but it will change your results for any other treatment you may be doing, not just obesity. In part 2, we'll be covering the hypothalamus point, the command center for appetite, metabolism, circadian rhythm, and more. It's a powerhouse point in obesity protocols. All right, what'd you think? This point may not be flashy, but it's the one that sets everything else up to work. Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear how laterality is showing up in your clinic. Now, I put together a free guide just for you. It's called the Laterality Reset Protocol, and it walks you through how to find it, treat it, and get better results by starting there. Check the link in the description to download it. And if you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who's looking to level up their acupuncture game. And in part 2, we'll move into the command center of the appetite, metabolism, and energy regulation, the hypothalamus point. I'll see you there. And as always, for more trainings, head over to electroacupunctureinstitute.com.